The world can be kind of a scary place to live in right now, and it's definitely not the same as it was even when I was a teenager. Parents send their children to school with bulletproof backpacks, where they go through metal detectors to get to class and are often accompanied by armed guards or even the police. It isn't the same as it was just a decade ago when I was in high school, when kids could kind of still be kids. Our anxieties were definitely more frivolous. We weren't afraid of one of us snapping into insanity seemingly at random and having to suddenly hide while a maniac stalks the halls with guns in hand. That just wasn't happening. Now, it happens all the time. It's commonplace. These kinds of events, they don't just haunt our children every day when they go to their places of learning, though. They have scarred and scared all of us living out our day-to-day lives. I went out about a month ago to see a movie. It was It, actually. The one about the killer clown. Interesting choice of escape from reality, right? Horror, though, seems to be popular when we're in the darkest of times. Something about seeing brutality and violence on display in a theater allows us to process it in a way that we otherwise can't when faced with it elsewhere. But this isn't a story about how scary that movie was or why we love scary movies. You see, as I was standing in line to get popcorn, a fire alarm went off. This was $6 movie night, and as you can imagine, nobody wanted to leave, considering what a good deal that is nowadays. Me least of all, having just gotten handed the large icy and large popcorn that I purchased. I was just about to butter it up when the ushers started having everyone leave the theater. And that's when I started to get a bit uncomfortable. And I could see the same look on everyone else's face. A nagging anxiety, be it conscious or unconscious. As we crowded together right outside the theater, that feeling definitely intensified. And it wasn't a fire that we were all afraid of. We must have all had the same thought, that perhaps someone pulled the fire alarm not just as a harmless prank, but to cull us all together so that they could get more of us. Dozens of people were starting to leave now, just heading back to their cars, ticket purchases be damned. And now there was an amorphous chatter amongst the crowd too, mutterings of if a $6 movie ticket was really worth it. Me and Katie at this point weren't standing in the crowd anymore, but off to the side at a bench with a good view of everything, just in case. But soon enough, the fire department arrived and quickly cleared the building, and the remaining crowd, about half as large as it was before, began shuffling back inside, myself included. As we sat down waiting for them to fix the movie playback, I think for me and everyone else in my showing, we had already gone through our biggest scare of the night before the film ever began. This little anecdote brings us to the real story at hand, The Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's new feature film. Looking at the entire controversy that has sprung up around this movie, I can't help but be reminded of an early episode of Gotham following a young Joker broadcasting his crimes to the city, and how it kind of really encapsulates this entire situation. In this scene, the character playing the Joker dies and is less of a man and more of an idea that is propagandized through the airwaves over Gotham, descending on the city like a virus or an emerald green mist being inhaled by the masses. Oftentimes, I think that's how this whole thing works. We see the news of the latest tragedy, and there are those watching who have already made their own plans, had their own twisted ideas, and are infected by these violent tendencies. It's these similarities the clown prince of crime has to our own reality that has made so many people so uncomfortable. Richard Lawson at Vanity Fair described the film as irresponsible propaganda for the very men it pathologizes. And they aren't the only person worried that the film will have some drastic consequences. Deadline reports the NYPD has already announced that because of concerns of potential violence, they will be largely increasing their police presence, including undercover detachments. This is a 360-degree policing approach to ensure the safety of ticket buyers in their seats as well as on the streets, a law enforcement official stated. If something happens inside one of the screenings, we intend to be able to pacify the situation quickly and conclusively. Despite fears from even law enforcement, the director of the film, Todd Phillips, has vehemently defended it. And he even went as far as saying, "I think it's because outrage is a commodity," referring to the criticism. He also said, "What's outstanding to me is this discourse in this movie is how easily the far left can sound like the far right when it suits their agenda." Now, I don't think the film is irresponsible, but I totally understand the discomfort that these very violent and real ideas are giving people. I think that this film is attempting to show what the reality of this character is. It's attempting to display in a human, but not a moralized way, the Joker. And movies weren't always so sterilized and designed to be as mundane and inoffensive as possible. I'm learning in my film history course I'm taking that movies used to be about real things from a real perspective, that they would delve into the depths of our dark hearts, not to make quick and easy moral judgments, but to shed light on the machinations therein. Movies have been used to depict things like war, poverty, depravity, and desperation, all in stark realism. Movies exist that show soldiers not deceptively as heroic fighters dying for justice and honor, but as men, suffering and murdering without reason, showing war as senseless destruction that swallows entire countries whole. Film can talk about reality without rose-tinted glasses, and without the productions that we are catered to with nowadays, designed to create a convincing facsimile that we can daydream about in comfort. Films can confront us. Todd Phillips said he didn't make the movie to glorify Arthur Fleck's murderous actions, but to make, and I quote, "a real movie." He said, "I literally described to Joaquin at one point in those 3 months as look at this as a way to sneak a real movie in the studio system under the guise of a comic book film." As easy as it is to point the finger at this movie, to channel our feelings of frustration and desperation with society into anger at this film, it doesn't answer the questions that really matter. Will this movie cause more mass shootings in the coming weeks? Will there be shootings at theaters? Will it actually radicalize people? And most importantly of all, how are we going to get these things to stop happening? Nobody yet knows the answer to these questions, but we are about to get them. So, next Wednesday, as I head out again to $6 movie night, a comfortable distance from the premiere for me, I hope that the violence on screen is the scariest thing I have to contend with this time. This has been a video by HigherLevelGaming. Subscribe to the channel for more discussions and feature videos just like this. We also have a playlist on our channel called Controversial's Opinions Thread, which has a bunch of videos about controversial topics just like this one. We're also primarily a gaming channel, so you might want to check some of those videos out. Whatever you do, have a nice day and stay safe.